Ah.
top four. We've got for you Cade versus Matthew, who we obviously just saw not even like a full hour ago, I think at this point. So kind of a fun match. I just want to say that earlier today you were talking about this kind of mirror team, and
Yes.
I don't know what is up with you, Kimo, but like your predictions are just spot on.
That's what I do.
Man, so it'll be kind of fun to see
Yeah.
a bunch of playing skills uh, happening today. And obviously, whoever wins this will be going into that final match for today.
Yes.
Um, so there will be at least
Yeah.
one Como.
Yeah, yeah. Just to clarify that a little bit, the prediction here is that my archetype Sorant money was on the Gengar Kommo-o setups, and just how awkward that mirror was, and now we are getting that awkward mirror for you. So I hope you're ready for a lot of dancing, a lot of soundproof, and a lot of tone deafness in general.
But for sure, at least one Como in
Yeah,
that final match, which would be really fun.
I mean, yeah.
And not something that I completely expected on there.
Kommo-o, Kimo-o, it's all cool.
Is
I'm
this
down
why
for
you
all
have
of it.
Kommo-o? Is like so you can just
Oh no, I think it has a very good place in the format right now. Though I will say that I think outside of a Gengar archetype, I don't really see a lot of value in it. Like maybe with Metagross. Otherwise, I think it's very dependent on a specific team synergy.
have its own dance is way better than Gengar's.
Yeah.
All part of that. All right, I feel that. And so on your left side, you've actually got Cade with that Gengar, Whimsicott, Como, Terrakion, Tapu Bulu, and Incineroar. And on your right, Matthew with a Gengar, Como, Tyranitar, Hitmontop, Volcarona, and Tapu Bulu.
I mean, in a mirror match, the thing that you should do when looking at the teams is what are the differences here? So we do have Gengar, Kommo-o, and Tapu Bulu. That is where the similarity. Well, I guess we have Fire type, Fighting type, and then something kind of green. So I think the most immediate difference in terms of pure offense for Cade here is the Terrakion, especially if Whimsicott does have that beat up option, which has just plagued us since 2011, really. Something like that could spell doom really early for Matthew if he's not careful. But we have seen in that killer set with James just a while ago that his positioning is on fire today, and he's definitely ready. Options like Tapu Bulu and Hitmontop, definitely something that can kind of hinder Terrakion from going all out right away.
I hate to say kind of say, but I think Matthew has like the interesting choice of the fire type, like you mentioned that Incineroar versus
Yes.
Volcarona. Volcarona, a personal favorite of mine, but really kind of hard
It's
to
a cool
yeah,
mon.
it's kind of hard to get it going for a certain point though. Getting getting really hurt by that water
Yeah.
type. But nice to see that Matthew's been able to make it work, especially in a format where it's not really able to shine as much. But Gengar Whimsicott from Cade's side of the field still going to be able to trap Mons if it does Mega Evolve and has that option for the Tailwind. But Gengar Volcarona is the answer that Matthew has on his side, so we've got this double Gengar now up on the field.
So it's a fun little situation. It's very similar to Matthew's last game. He's a big fan of tag because there's going to be a lot of Urit situations here. This time it's a little different, though, because it's not Gothel. They're both Gengar. And it's very possible that they are both max speed. Gengar speed ties are insane. And that's why the speed control is going to matter here a lot. Whimsicott, the one more traditionally having that. Not to say Volcarona couldn't have Tailwind, but just based on what we've seen of Matthew today, really doubting that. I believe he had Overheat, Protect, Whirlwind, Rage Powder. Yep, Gengar just not even going to risk the Shadow Ball. I wouldn't be surprised to see the same for Matthew. Oh, no, Rage Powder instead. Volcarona really doesn't mind that.
Yeah, so both players going for that Mega Evolution right now. As Whimsicott goes for the Tailwind here, going to be able to get that speed control. That is going to be super important, especially in this game because of that. But Gengar
Ah,
on Matthew's side using that Icy Wind, not going to hit the opposing Gengar because it did protect and does manage to, break. I think that Whimsicott is a Sash, so it does manage to break it on that Whimsicott and lower that speed. But that Tailwind is now up, and it's going to give the Gengar on Cade's side a little bit more beneficial. Going to be more beneficial.
right. I mean, the ways that both players are trying to circumvent the Gengar speed tie is very interesting, and I think Matthew might still have it even with the speed control in that turn. The Rage Powder is just so good. Gengar is almost completely safe. I don't know if the fake tier Sludge Bomb combination would get the KO from here, and he just goes for the Encore instead, freeing. Oh, on the Gengar, I forgot that the Grass move still doesn't affect the Volcarona, so you are now locked into that Icy Wind, which is a lot better than being KO'd by Shadow Ball.
Yeah, and so like that Shadow Ball going to that Volcarona and Icy Wind one more time into this Gengar Whimsicott slot, and the Whimsicott going to be knocked out this turn, but manages to does manage to get that Encore on her, so kind of figuring out that speed control on his side once more.
I mean, it's looking like a great time for song and dance, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, no, wrong one. I mean, I like that a lot because the Kommo-o mirror can get very nasty. Well, it can get very loud, but they both don't know it. So yeah, the rock side here is looking fantastic, especially considering that Gengar locked into that icy wind. But the unfortunate part is that Mega Gengar is faster than Terrakion, so you won't really be able to pick up a double KO here. You'll probably get off with a KO on the Volcarona at best, assuming no Protect.
Yeah, all right. But Matt, as I'm just switching out that Gengar, going to go for that Tapu Bulu. So going to be bringing on the grassy terrain just to boost its grass type moves up on the field here. Going to have a little bit
Oh, icy wind on Gengar. I'm sorry. Terrakion does go first.
and Volcarona protecting itself on this turn, going to avoid any sort of rock slide from Terrakion. And Terrakion does go for that rock slide, manage because of that protect doesn't hit the Volcarona, does connect with the Tapu Bulu, does some okay damage on it.
Yep, solid damage.
And Gengar going for the Shadow Ball into that Tapu Bulu slot, so going to be doubling up into that, and does manage to get into a little bit under half, as all these Pokemon are going to be
healing up.
because of that grassy terrain.
I mean, the position is fantastic. One of the things that's very amusing and deadly about the Mega Gengar mirror is that the first person to lose that game of Switch Chicken is going to pay really bad for it. He can try and stall out the Tailwind, and then the Icy Wind would be a lot more apparent on the Mega Gengar. But for right now, the Terrakion combination of Rock Slide, Poison move looks great.
Yeah, and Tapu Bulu afraid of that as it goes for protect on this turn, and Terrakion goes for the rock slide. Volcarona not protecting, so it's going to be taking a lot of damage from that rock slide. And it is in a race to be knocked out now by it, and so Tapu Bulu sitting here going to be behind that protect as Gengar goes for that Sludge Bomb. I think this might possibly be that last turn of Tailwind, or there might be one more turn. I'm not counting properly as everybody goes for that healing because of that. And no, it is the last turn of Tailwind.
Yeah. So now that the Icy Wind on Cade's Mega Gengar being very apparent, going for the Kommo-o instead of his own Gengar, not trapping in the Terrakion to deal with the Tapu Bulu, something that could take a rock slide. So now you have that situation where unless a second fairy is in the back, which it shouldn't be because he has no other fairies aside from Wind, which was KO'd, you are getting a very successful Soul Blaze here, or our favorite Belly Drum. Yep.
Is going to be going for that Clanger Soul Blaze.
I mean, the Soul Blaze there was just a better move than the Belly Drum because you create a situation where you can't be flinched, and you have the speed advantage to Belly Drum again later if you want.
That's everybody's favorite animation.
Yeah, here we go, man. Let's dance, everybody. I mean, like, really, excellent position. I mean, we do know that it's not the strongest special attacker from the game with James, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mega Gengar and Terrakion both took it fairly well. But that's not really the point. The point is that you're in a situation where now you can just like Drain Punch the Terrakion, you can Clang Scales the Mega Gengar. It's pretty free to just have that strength. Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
All right, so very nice critical hit Z move onto that Gengar, manages to knock it out as it gets all these boosts to all of its stats. This Terrakion now going to be in a little bit of a tougher place than, like you said, that game, like whoever loses that Gengar is going to
Ah.
Tapu Bulu does flinch from that rock slide, and I apparently couldn't say that mod correctly.
I mean, that potentially huge. Kommo-o still looks fantastic, but it's better to be 2-on-3 than 1-on-3.
And so now going to be down to this last one, which is going to be that Incineroar, and it is going to manage to get Intimidate onto both of Malthy's Pokemon, and that Tapu Bulu and Kommo-o generally like to be more physical attackers,
Yeah.
but still kind of in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, Kommo-o can't be touched here, really. You have to rely on close combats. Kommo-o has extra defense. It's been healing through the grassy terrain. It has Drain Punch to threaten Terrakion by itself. Even if you can pick up the KO on the Tapu Bulu, Mega Gengar comes in and he just kind of laughs at you because Kommo-o's doing its job.
Yeah, and so now Kommo-o does actually go for that Drain Punch, goes into that Terrakion spot, does that super effective damage, manages to pick up that knockout on here. Obviously going for that damage, and now it's going to be back up full health after the minimal damage that it had taken from that rock slide earlier. And Tapu Bulu going for the Horn Leech, going to be boosted because of this grassy terrain. It's going to do some no damage to Incineroar. Now it's just Incineroar versus Tapu Bulu, Kommo-o, and this Gengar.
I mean, that was really more of a Me Too situation where he's like, hey, I can heal too, guys. Don't forget. I think that it's the perfect time to think for adjustments on Cade's part. And if you're not going to go for beat up Terrakion, which just try and smash him immediately, maybe play out that Kommo-o mirror because he had a pretty good opportunity to do it earlier in the theoretical world where he brought it instead of Terrakion, where he had Mega Gengar Volcarona out. even if Mega Gengar wants to switch out and lose that game of Shadow Tag Chicken, you guarantee the Soul Blaze because you can't get 2 fairies out onto the field.
Yeah, and Kommo-o going for that drain punch onto the Cincinnati, going to do a lot of damage because that super strike from this gets it down to that 41 HP as Gengar finishes off this turn with that Sludge Bomb. Going to pick up the knockout on the Cincinnati and pick up the game for Matthew. Yeah,
Very well played.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you're right. Like, I think not bringing Kommo-o on Cade Star was.
Well, it's very fair. The mirror situation is very odd, and it's not like the most fun situation to play out. But if you're not going to go for that Terrakion strong offense, you might as well just go for it. I wouldn't mind if he brought the same tools again, but the way in which you use those tools needs to change.
I think I would have liked to see a little bit more usage out from that one spot as well.
Yeah.
It was there for that tailwind. And managed to get tailwind up, yeah, but it was gone so fast. And I think, Whimsicott and Gengar have like a really nice synergy, and to be able to capitalize that a little bit more on Cade's part, just to kind of set up his Pokemon a little bit more. I mean, obviously that speed control is a big issue for both of them, and especially for their Mega Gengars. But wow, they locked it
going
very
fast.
Nicely.
So for me, 100% Matthew changed nothing. It's going to be interesting to see what Cade has decided to change.
All right, and we'll be seeing those changes real soon on this second game between Cade and Matthew for their top 4 match, whoever wins. So if Matthew wins this, he'll be going to finals, and if Cade wins this, they'll be pushing for a game 3.
Yeah.
And Terrakion and Whimsicott, so we might actually get a potential beat-up.
Here we go.
Oh, that'll actually be really fun to see this. And now we've got Matthew sending Gengar
Hitmontop.
Hitmontop. Cade. So the Hitmontop does get Intimidate into that Terrakion, and that Whimsicott going to be lowering that attack onto both of those mons. A little more important on the Terrakion, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Terracotta lead, but going Hitmontop was very safe there just because I feel that Matthew is aware that Cade is scared to bring his own Kommo-o, and when you're just looking at Terrakion as the primary form of offense at that part, Hitmontop just fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, that was... At least he adjusted, though.
Yeah, he adjusted. Hey, you did it. But it's going to be a little on the bright side, it's harder to fake out because you can encore it, but that's not the biggest detriment in the world for you.
Yeah, and so Cade kind of think of his options
here.
As
I mean, he's scared of Hitmontop. That guy could. There's a lot of music playing. This guy can boogie.
So Whimsicott being switched out on Cade's side for his own Gengar. So once again, we've got both of these Gengars on the field.
Gengar, Eto, Gengar.
So the Gengar on Matthew's side, having been out first, does get the chance to Mega Evolve on this turn. So trapping both of Cade's Pokemon on here. That Terrakion's not going to like that at all against that Hitmontop. As Hitmontop actually goes for the Fake Out onto the Gengar slot. And Gengar going for the Sludge Bomb onto what was that Whimsicott as well. So doubling down on it. The Cursed Body activating this, so disabling that Sludge Bomb as Terrakion uses Rock Slide to connect with both of these mons.
I believe we did see the Continental Crush from Terrakion earlier. I don't know if it KOs through Intimidate, but I think that would have been a great pressure option against Gengar. You need, KOing that Shadow Tag option immediately just gives you so much control. And, the Cursed Body, that was a good pivot turn for Cade, but I don't know if that really mattered enough in the long term, especially now that Terrakion is trapped against Hitmontop.
Which Hitmontop is totally fine with.
Yeah, I mean, Hitmontop's loving it. Just look at him. He's not. I mean, Gengar's got some moves of his own, but at the end of the day, you're relying on maybe a Gengar speed tie, which is just a gross situation. Hitmontop getting out of there, you're preserving that Intimidate. Kommo-o, pretty safe. He doesn't really care too much unless you close combated the slot, and even then the Intimidate. Revealing the other Mega. I really don't think Matthew risked the speed tie, but I don't know if he can really get off enough of that.
All right, but Matthew actually protecting his Gengar on this turn as he switched out from that Kommo-o. And Gengar on Cade's side going to be using Shadow Ball into that protected Gengar. And Terrakion going once more for that Rock Slide. Going to be connecting only with that Kommo-o and just does minimal damage.
Yeah, I mean, we have another game where the Soul Blaze is guaranteed, but Matthew's once again the one getting it as opposed to Cade. And I don't think he brought the other Kommo-o. I think this is a very difficult situation. You can get your own Matthew's Gengar can leave, get the Hitmontop, just guarantee that Terrakion's even weaker. It has all the time in the world to heal up through that Drain Punch after the Soul Blaze, and Gengar, even that chip damage might have been enough for Soul Blaze to pick it up. Even if he is weaker, he does just exactly that. The Intimidate is coming out, probably going to have a real dance party.
Yeah, and so that Hitmontop being switched for that Gengar going to get the Intimidate once more to that track, and now at -2, and the Shadow Ball from Gengar on Cade's side can be going to that Hitmontop, and manages to get to just enough to activate.
Oh, that
its
might
berry.
be Citrus Berry. Is
and
it?
so-
Is that enough?
Yeah,
was
it is
Berry,
Citrus
cool.
Berry. And Terrakion at -2 for that Rock Slide is going to do almost no damage at all. That barely moved on Kommo-o's health bar there. And this Kommo is going to be going for that Clearing of Slow Blaze. Again, there is no reason to against either of these Pokemon.
No, it's dance time, baby. I mean, yeah, dude, DDR time. Just nailing all the excellence here as even if he doesn't pick up the KO, his positioning just looks fantastic. He's a fake out, waiting for the next turn to start. Yeah, I mean, it takes 2 to tango, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, ooh, man, look at him. But that is almost as good as the Whimsicott Breakneck Blitz earlier. But the positioning just looks fantastic. You have the fake out, you have all the boosted stats, you have a very viable Drain Punch target. Oh, that was really weird looking because they switched positions, but it still looked like the back sprites. So, yeah, Gengar does take it. That Kommo-o has been physical time and time again. It just doesn't really matter. You can fake out Clanging Scales for free right here. I don't know if you really want to do it because Matthew really likes to preserve those stats, but it's a play almost impossible to punish.
Right, and so Gengar going to be switched out on Cade's side, not going to take those attacks as he sends out his Tapu Bulu. So a little bit of a change from him as well. This Tapu Bulu going to be bringing that grassy trade and the healing from all the Pokemon touching the ground right now. And Terrakion also going to be switching out, just going to reset all of those Intimidates as he sends out his Whimsicott. And so we're going to be benefiting a lot from this if it is
He did go for the Clanging Scales. I respect it, even if that situation was going to happen.
And
Stone Edge did miss, but Tapu Bulu is quite the bulky
boy,
bulky thing, bulky Bulu, and so it wasn't like that was going to KO by any means. I mean, Kommo-o doesn't like fighting Double Fairy, but one sort of silver lining there, Bulu does not learn Play Rough, so unless you're using Dazzling Gleam Bulu, you're totally good. And I don't believe that Whimsicott has Moonblast. They tend to only have Beat Up as their offensive option with Terrakion.
And so now Tapu Bulu mirror on the field as that Hitmontop gets switched out from there, and the encore from Whimsicott into the Clanging Scales for that Kommo-o. Zen Headbutt from the Tapu Bulu on Cade's side does go into what was that Hitmontop spot on Matthew's side of the field.
I mean, I like the encore there. He actually has managed to contain that Kommo-o fairly well. I guess there was a punishment for the Clanging Scales after all. Even if it's not going to make the huge difference in the long run, I don't think it's still... It might not be doing too much, but its presence alone is enough to really bug you. And the Bulu can't... The opposing Bulu is also enough there to just stop the pressure.
And so Whimsicott going for the Tailwind for that speed as Tapu Bulu goes for the Zen Habit into the Kommo-o on Matthew's side. And Tapu Bulu on Matthew's side going to be going for Wood Hammer into Whimsicott and manages to break the sash, gets it down to 40 HP, and does take a lot of damage from that recoil and that Life Orb damage.
And I mean, you're totally fine pressing Clanging Scales because you know that once you remove Whimsicott, not only will he not be able to encore you later, but your Clanging Scales are going to start making noise again. The band might be broken up, but it never lasts.
And they'll be back together soon.
Yeah. It's a matter of time, which is a good song name. So, Fake Tears.
And yeah, Fake Tears from Whimsicott going to harshly lower that special defense on Kommo, and Tapu Bulu going for the Zen Headbutt into that slot. So going to do a lot. So it's going to do a...
Well, that was very deceiving looking.
Yeah,
the Fake Tears didn't
matter
there.
But
what?
You know what?
Oh, Dazzling Gleam from the other one. I like that.
Okay. All right. So the critical hit from the Zen Headbutt does get Kommo down his head. Manages to get the flinch on there. I think it was still locked into Clanging Scales, though.
It was.
So Tapu Bulu on Matthew's side shows Dazzling Gleam, picks up the knockout on Whimsicott, and gets rid of that encore as that encore turn ends. Well,
honestly, Dazzling Gleam is an underrated option on Bulu, and that was one of the cool little instances of utility. Pick up that easy KO, damage the other one for free. Gengar looking fantastic here, but because of the Clanging Scales pressure and Kommo-o's speed boost, it really comes down to how, a lot of Matthew's team is the bulkier side, so it wouldn't be surprising if maybe the Mega Gengar could outpace it, but even then there's a mind game in that.
Yeah. And so Gengar going for the protect, just in case that Clanging Scales does come from Matthew's Kommo-o, doesn't want to get hit by that. Kommo-o on Cade's side protecting itself from another potential Zen headbutt from the Tapu Bulu on Cade's side, and does manage to avoid that, as Tapu Bulu on Matthew's side uses Dazzling Gleam, only managing to hit the Tapu Bulu on Cade's side, obviously because of that protect, does get it to half health, and so both these Tapu Bulus are kind of like at about the same HP game now.
Yeah, they're really running with the bulls. It's going to be a difficult one. But Kommo-o just outpacing them all. He won't be run over today. The Clanging Scales is looking fantastic here. He did just get a free turn of Grassy Terrain health, and there was very little punishment in order to do that. I think one of the things that Matthew's really gotten going for him throughout the sets that I've seen so far is that he's kind of using his opponent's nerves against him. If Cade was like... It was a hard read to do, right, to just go for the Bulu, and Clanging Scales seems so free. But in doing, I mean, you KO the Bulu, you like have their Tailwind just be, you still have that Tailwind matter for you, an extra turn. I think that one of the keys against beating Matthew here, maybe not for Cade because it might be too late here, but in the future, is just call him on his defensive plays. He's a defensive player, and you need to call him.
That a double? Oh, that was a double protect from Kommo-o. Manages to get that double protect as Tapu Bulu goes for the Zen headbutt into that double protected Kommo-o. Gengar using Sludge Bomb into the Tapu Bulu slot on Matthew's side. Manages to pick up that knockout there. I'm going to have to force Matthew to bring in whatever he's got left in that back as the Tailwind expires for Cade's side.
I mean, that Tailwind was honestly huge because it was one of the primary reasons that he had to keep pressing protect. It was very likely that Clanging Scales, having gone for it, would just result in a KO anyway, but it's pretty difficult. But, I mean, now that Tailwind's gone, you have fake out Clanging Scales.
There you go, yeah.
I mean, then you protect because Gengar's really cool in that you can't really punish the protect plays too well.
Yeah, and Hitmontop going to be taking the field for that fallen Bulu on Matthew's side. Going to get the Intimidate into that Tapu Bulu and Gengar. Again, a little bit more important on that Tapu Bulu from what we've seen with that Zen headbutt after that Tailwind expires. But Tapu Bulu going to be returning to Cade as he sends out that Terrakion once more. A little bit like at that half HP though, so not going to be able to. So in a little bit of a tighter spot as Gengar goes for the protect on Cade's side, and Hitmontop going for the fake out into that Terrakion. Gonna do just minimal damage to that, but the Clanging Scale is gonna connect with this Terrakion. Gonna get the lowered stats on there, and manages to pick up that knockout on there. So now it's just gonna be the Tapu Bulu versus this Gengar once more.
Yeah, I mean, he switched out Bulu because he wants that Grassy Terrain back, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough because Kommo-o is just chilling, man.
Yeah.
He's just a chill guy. He doesn't really have the tools.
All right, and so that Tapu Bulu, as the last Pokemon, does manage to does come back to the field, brings in that Grassy Terrain, gives it a little boost to any sort of like grass type moves that it has access to, and this Gengar is still sitting there at 26 HP, has managed to like stay hidden behind all those protects, as Matthew's just kind of targeting out everything else in here, but Kommo goes for the protect on this turn. We've seen that Zen headbutt do a lot of do some good damage on there, but Gengar goes for the protect, doesn't manage to get it as Tapu Bulu goes into that protected Kommo-o slot, and Hitmontop going for the Stone Edge this time, not missing, manages to pick up that easy knockout on that Gengar, leaving this Tapu Bulu to go against the rest of Matthew's team.
I mean, the pretty amusing part is that you have Zen Headbutt locked Tapu Bulu at this point. Not the greatest tool ever. I've never really been a fan of being locked into a Psychic move, but when you're facing two fighting types, it's not the worst thing ever. He's really gotten a lot out of the protects on Kommo-o. That was another situation where I kind of would have liked to see Gengar just be more offensive. You can't like play his game of trying to protect. You need to like rustle things up more.
Yeah. And so Gengar being switched out for that Hitmontop on Matthew's side, manages to get hit by the Zen headbutt, gets the critical hit and the super effective hit on there, knocks out that Gengar just immediately as Kommo goes for the Drain Punch, going to be recovering some of its HP from this Tapu Bulu, and now we're going to be, I think, down to that Hitmontop and this Kommo-o left.
Yeah, I mean, even with the Scarf speed advantage in this situation.
You've got that fake out back now.
Yeah, you have the fake out back. You have another opportunity to press Drain Punch. You can't protect. So even at that point, even if you picked up a KO, you still have to deal with the other one.
Yeah, and so Hitmontop hitting the field once more, going to get an Intimidate onto this Tapu Bulu, and just going to lower those attacks a little bit. And again, locked into Zenhub, so not be able to really take advantage of that grassy terrain that it had set up, and now just kind of having to choose which Pokemon to go after on Matthew's side. As Hitmontop goes for the fake out, going to flinch Tapu Bulu this turn, leaving this Kommo-o free to use Drain Punch and restore some more of its health, and going to get Tapu Bulu just actually manages to pick up that knock on there, giving the second game to Matthew really easily.
I mean, Matthew played that very well. There was definitely times in there where, I mean, when you have Scarf Bulu's return, really, I mean, the Tracheon wasn't doing anything there. The Tailwind turns, I think he just kind of needed to capitalize on it a bit more. I feel like he played a bit too passively, and when you play passively against Matthew, you're playing his game. You're not playing the game that you should be or want to be playing. If he just... Every little bit of extra damage there could have taken him so far. He had to protect with Kommo-o so many times in order to try and just heal up and get a position where it wasn't useless. And even when he had a real punish going with that double fairy switching into the Encore, Kommo-o was able to sit there the entire time because you just didn't push hard enough.
And I think, too, the other thing is that when you're looking at those teams, like you said, it's intimidating really to play against a mirror match. Yeah. And I think, Matthew was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in because why not? And I think if Cade had been had chosen to be like, okay, like, let's do this, let's go for the mirror, and we'll see what happens. There might have been a different game that he would have been playing on the field, and I think Matthew kind of being able to read into that and being like, hey, you know what, I know exactly what you're going to have to do in game 2, and here's my Hitmontop answer for that.
Right.
Because, he locked it insanely fast, and I think at that point he was thinking, oh, I know exactly what my opponent has to do now, and, he didn't bring Kommo-o to this game, so why would he bring it next game? Like, he showed me he's kind of afraid of that mirror.
Yeah. He definitely was. Brutal.
And it was kind of rough, like, just I think having sort of that mental advantage of being like, I'm okay facing this, and if you're not, then I'm going to punish you really hard for it, and this is what happens. So, I mean, great game played, like, from Matthew there, and he'll be going to our finals, and our last match.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew's been playing excellent all day. Let me tell you guys a little philosophy here, right? Sun Tzu, right? I actually don't know if Sun Tzu said this, but I thought it was funny.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Uphill battles, dude, very good when you're on top of the hill. That was not an exact quote.
I was to say, I don't think that's a very
no,
exact
it
quote.
wasn't.
But,
that was modern Sun Tzu.
We like to paraphrase here. And so I think now we've got Emilio versus Joseph Selmer for our final top 4 match, and the winner of this will be facing against Matthew in that finals. I am actually super excited to say that we have a Kommo-o in finals.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
The one quick note here, I think this game is incredibly important, obviously, for Matthew, and I think a large part of that comes down to if Emilio can clinch it against Joseph, because I really believe that Emilio's matchup against Matthew is excellent. In just a sec, we're going to see Emilio versus Joseph, and final top 4 game, money, CP, all the fun stuff.
All right.